If your blood runs orange and blue, this is the pod for you. You're listening to Orange and Blue Bloods, hosted by EJ Stewart and Tommy Beer. Let's get to it, man.
So before we get out of here, we've spoken so much about this Knicks Cavs series, and we have another episode this week where we'll give you our final thoughts, our full predictions on what will happen in this series between Knicks and Cavs. But I do want to give an update to what is happening outside of the Knicks preview, and that is play-in tournament madness. If you're watching on YouTube, you see that's the lower third we have here. We're going to talk about what we've seen in the latest developments in the play-in tournament and how that kind of, the implication that is implied for what that means for the rest of the playoffs. So we have 7 seeds secured in both conferences. Now just one spot remaining in the playoffs in each conference, the East and West, the 8 seeds. So the Lakers won a very strange overtime game against the Minnesota Timberwolves in LA, a game that they were down by double digits and found a way to win. The T-Wolves basically didn't score for like 10 minutes. It was really bizarre, but the Lakers found a way to win. So they're the 7th seed. They will now face the Memphis Grizzlies. Then you had the Atlanta Hawks go into Miami in a game that I think a lot of people didn't give them a lot much of a chance. And they beat the Miami Heat, and they beat them pretty convincingly. They were leading pretty much the entire way. They had a double-digit lead for a lot of this game. They beat the Heat on the road, so they get the 7th seed. They face the Celtics in the first round of the playoffs. So those 2 matchups are now set, 2 and 7 matchups in the East and West. Now we got to decide the 8. So we just had the games on Wednesday night. The Bulls and Thunder both got wins. They're the first 10 seeds to ever win a game in the play-in tournament. They both won on the road. The Bulls beat the Raptors. The Raptors shot 50% from the field, in large part thanks to D.R. DeRozan, the daughter of DeMar DeRozan, who was yelling like the top of her lungs and affecting the Raptors on the free throw line. And then, the Pelicans, who were out Zion Williamson, and that's becoming a story again with Zion not being able to be available. Pelicans unable to execute late in their game against the Thunder, and now they are out of here. So Raptors, Pelicans, their seasons are over. Bulls and Thunder advance as 10 seeds. They will face off against the Heat and the T-Wolves respectively. So when it comes down to just the entertainment value and what the play-in tournament is supposed to be, based on what you saw in these first 4 games, is the play-in tournament working in your eyes?
Yeah, definitely, and not just because of these games in particular. Just the rush to get into the Mavericks kind of threw a monkey wrench in things, but just the excitement that it kind of caused throughout the league. Teams, the Bulls would have had an insanely disappointing season if not for expanding to letting the 9 and 10 for their another game or 2. That's just one for instance. So I definitely think it's worked out. It's not perfect, but I think it's it's the best of the systems we have. Winston Churchill said democracy is the worst form of government except for all the others. So I think there's tweak and complain about each system and the lottery and preventing tanking, etc. There is no perfect system. So I think the current situation they have is the best that I've seen. I think they'll continue and should continue for a while going forward. Just one quick thing on the Pels, because you mentioned them. I couldn't help but think this morning, last April compared to this April, the Pelicans, a team on the rise, a superstar in the making, a young coach, a young team. They took the Suns 6 games in the first. They were up in that series, and just seemed like the ceiling, the roof was the ceiling, for that whole franchise, and really trending in the right direction. Conversely, the Knicks, LOL Knicks, laughing stock, rudderless franchise, out of the playoffs, 10 games below 500, and it's just fascinating to think a year later. Pelican season is over. Those comments from Zion Williamson, as an aside, were alarming. Those were, I'm ready to play, but I don't really feel it. There were some weird undertones and subtext there. I'm going to go out on a limb and say we're going to hear a lot of Zion Williamson trade rumors, whether he leaks a story and somebody. But I obviously, if you're the Pelicans, that's a last resort. You don't want to. He's so incredibly talented that you don't want to consider it until you're absolutely forced to. But again, him dunking pregame, and I tweeted, like, Riley said to Charles Smith, if you can give me 5 minutes, then why aren't you playing tonight? There's some definitely cause for concern there if you're a Pelicans and New Orleans fan. So yeah, but otherwise, as it relates to the other playing game, we still got some fun matchups coming Friday. We'll see how it all plays out. Nothing crazy, but I did find it interesting that a few of the relatively heavy underdogs, Hawks, OKC. Both those teams were 5-point underdogs and came through and got victory. So, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the final games for the 8 seeds.
Yeah, I will say the Zion situation continues to be kind of in a Rubik's Cube of a mess for the New Orleans Pelicans. I mean, it felt like after they had their whole celebration, he signs the extension, they do the Boys and Girls Club appearance, and he says all is good. I'm ready to buy in, and I have a new focus this season. I've been listening to Biggie Smalls, and he came in this year, and they started off really well. I mean, I had the Pelicans going to the NBA Finals to start the season, and yeah, it was a little limb, but it wasn't the craziest thing considering where they ended last season and having Zion Williamson apparently bought in and ready to play, and to go from that to then now. He says that he can't play, but he can, but it's about being right and being 100% ready to go. And then he's dunking in pregame. I don't know how we got back to this. Like, this was literally the things we were talking about last year, where he was dunking in pre-games of playoff games or her games down the stretch. And people were saying, if you can go and do windmills in the pregame, why aren't you playing? It kind of felt like we thought Zion kind of learned his lesson from that maybe that was poor optics. And here we are a year later, and we're back at square one, where he's not available again for the biggest games of the season. And he's dunking in pregame and saying, well, I could probably be out there if I really needed to, but I don't feel 100% comfortable. I don't know. It's something is definitely off there.
Pels call you, offer Zion Williamson and other stuff for Julius Randle and stuff. What do the Knicks say?
I think the Knicks will say yes. Now, should they? I maybe I'm a little torn because I made a prediction that fell so flat on its face, but I don't know if I'm dealing with Zion Williamson if I'm on another team. Zion Williamson. I don't know if I'm taking that risk. Like, if he wants to come back healthy and he shows me, okay, he can have a full season, committed, dedicated, not hurt, and then he's up for available, maybe the Pelicans, okay, let's trade him now while the iron's hot. Maybe I take a flyer there. I think seeing this version of Zion that we've seen in the last few years where he's not available and his dedication has been questioned, I just don't know if I want to take that risk, especially now that he's gotten the bag, now that the money is already in the book, so to speak. I just don't know if I'm taking that risk.
One quick thing on that: the Pels did build in a lot of fail safes in there, where related to weight gain and things will move on. And the last 3 years aren't fully guaranteed, so something to keep in mind. He's on believers, and there are plenty out there, and as well they should. Again, in terms of talent, this guy is the likes of which we've never seen. He's played more games over his first 3-4 years than Joel Embiid did. There are stories where guys can kind of turn things around, but Embiid was just basically one injury that took him 2 years to recover from, and he's been relatively healthy since then. Whereas Zion, it seems one thing year after year, and then he gets, then he misses a month, and then he's out of shape. Doesn't seem to be as committed as you would like. And again, I find those comments really alarming, whether they were just a reflection of kind of how he views himself in the league, or, again, I thought, I just couldn't help but think that it was somehow a shot at the team. And, we'll see. If you're a teammate, you want to hear somebody say like, yeah, I could play today, in the most important game of the season, but I'm not quite right. So I'm going to hang out for a little bit. It's just that type of stuff can leave some lingering scars.
Yeah. And we'll end up seeing, how this all plays out. But, man, I don't know. I don't know. It does not look good over there in New Orleans. And Jimmy Butler, here we go. Are we ready to play serious? Is this the time? We've been waiting.
Maybe wait to this. maybe wait to the second half of the final game this season before you decide to play for real. You know,
Yeah. We all misheard him. We thought he meant second half, meaning the second half of the regular season. He actually meant the second half of the last playing game. That's when it's time to play serious. So we'll see what happens. We got these playing games here. I will say one thing, man. Watching, especially those people talking about the Lakers, those teams are terrible. Like this has been entertaining. This has been fun. I have no problem having these games. I don't know why I enjoyed these games, but I enjoyed that people were enjoying these games and they were all talking about basketball on a week where normally we'd just be waiting for the playoffs to start. But I mean, there are people saying the Lakers team is a potential championship contender. I mean, are we? I mean, is it crack? Is it crack? Did you see what I saw?
So you don't listen. Healthy LeBron, AD. I don't think they're a championship contender either. But LeBron has done crazy things. You think that? So you think Memphis is going to beat them easily, or do you think they can make it round and then get beat up?
I think they get washed in the first round. I think they get washed. I think that the Grizzlies are so athletic. They get up and down the court. The Laker offense has been hit or miss really even all season before the trade, but they've been better since the trade. But the way Memphis can defend, switch, I think that they're going to be in a world of trouble. They couldn't stop turning the ball over against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they're going to face the Memphis Grizzlies now coming up. I think that they're in trouble, and they have a extended. Speaking of kind of stays and breaks between games, they have that extended stretch in Memphis, which is going to be like a 3-day stay in Memphis. I don't like them in those first two games. Maybe when it gets to LA, things change, but I think that this is going to be a quick series for the Grizzlies.
LeBron can film Space Jam 3 in between those games 1 and 2.
I mean, I saw John Hollinger was like, every team gets this dreaded thing. We don't know who it's going to be, and this year we now know it is the Lakers.
I will say though that no Brandon Clark and Steven Adams for Memphis down low, I think makes a difference. If AD can get Jaren Jackson Jr. in foul trouble, as we know as JJJ is prone to do, I give the Lakers a fighting chance. Part of it is just because I want to see LeBron do cool things at age 38. I agree they're an underdog. I with you. I am surprised that I think that Vegas actually has them even money or the Lakers just a slight underdog. So
that's crazy to me.
It'll be very interesting because all year basically since they signed AD was or at least the start of this season, last season, just get a healthy Anthony Davis and a healthy LeBron in the postseason, and because of the postseason trade, that they have some quality pieces surrounding them now, the Vanderbilts, Beasleys, etc. I give them a little more than a fighting chance. I think they do have a shot to knock off the Grizz.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you want to see more of our videos, be sure to check out our playlist and let us know what you think in the comments below.
Also, don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date on our latest podcast ventures. Links will be in the descriptions. And as always, thanks for watching, and we will see you in our next video.